Hello, everybody, and welcome to Late Night Football. We're back after the international break, and we're getting ready for another weekend of exciting and big football games coming up. So it's always good. It's always good to have a bit of a break, isn't it? You get a little bit of time away. You don't have to do this. This is really, it's a lot of consistent production, but it's good. It's good to get a bit of a break, at least a weekend off. But nonetheless, we're back. Club football is back. I mean, there's been international games, so nobody really cares about that much. But yeah, club football is back. We're ready for now. Pretty much a consistent. I think 6 months that there's not going to be any breaks now. So we between now and I think March, I believe March. Yeah, it's a lot of football, a lot of games that are going to be packed in. And who knows, we might even go into a second lockdown at some point. We really don't know what's going to happen. But nonetheless, this weekend is here and some big games coming up, and we're going to review them. We're kind of doing it differently today in that normally we do this like an hour and a half of previews for games, but we're only going to do the each game individually. So we're not picking every game, but we're doing about 5 games today, and we're doing each of them individually. So we're going to start with Tottenham against Man City. Even though that's not the first game of the weekend, but it's probably the second. Well, I mean, it's probably the biggest game, the second biggest game of the weekend. If you take your pick. In the Premier League at least, it's the second biggest game of the weekend, and so, but it's the biggest game of Saturday. So we're gonna start with that, and we're gonna have a few guests as well for some of the episodes today that we're doing. So stay tuned, keep following us, and please remember to subscribe to the channel so you can get notified as soon as the video goes up for a particular match preview. So we're gonna start with Tottenham against Manchester City, and this is one of the big games of the season. Jose Mourinho versus Pep Guardiola. Once upon a time, used to be Champions League semi-final caliber. It's going to be really interesting to watch. I think the biggest news from coming into this game, obviously, is that Pep Guardiola has signed a new contract with Manchester City. Now that is big news for Manchester City. I think it's big news for Pep Guardiola, and I mean, regardless of whatever people want to talk about Pep over this season, there's no doubt that he's been a good manager, a great manager for Manchester City. He's done a lot of incredible things with the club, and I mean, yeah, when you think about it, I don't want to take too much time on that because we are doing the preview for the match. But if you think about it, it's not that surprising a decision because unless Pep wanted to go into international football, then there really weren't that many options out there. Like Barcelona, pretty dysfunctional. Nobody, I don't think any top manager wants to go there right now. You're not going. He's not never going to go to Real Madrid. You're not going to go back. He probably wasn't going to go back to Bayern Munich and PSG. That's never going to happen. It's not going to happen now. PSG's the French league is just not of that caliber for him. And then that only leaves Juventus in Serie A, but they still have Ronaldo. So as long as Ronaldo is at Juventus, that move is not going to happen there. And I put this on social media as well. So I mean, it makes sense. Unless he was going to go to manage Spain, which he may not do because of his personal opinions or political opinions. He may not want to do that. So the only option really was to stick with Manchester City or take a break. And he's obviously decided to stick with Manchester City. And keep in mind, these are the options that I'm taking from his career path, right? I mean, he doesn't Guardiola doesn't do title challenges. He only goes to winning teams, so established winning teams. So and that some people would take that as a dig, but that's how his career trajectory has been thus far. So yeah, so based on that, I mean, City seems fine. On a clear note, I think this now means that City will definitely be looking at Messi next season. He might very well be coming because now you've got Pep and you've got Messi who wants to leave next season. So it's a perfect union. There, perfect storm of things happen there. So that will happen. But coming back to this match, and I think the intriguing the subplot that for this match obviously is the role reversal, because normally when you think of Tottenham versus Man City, you're thinking City title challengers, Tottenham sort of fighting for top four, top six, whatever, and that's kind of where the dynamic has been. But it's changed. This season, Tottenham are third in the table; they are challenging for the title, and City are actually in 10th spot in sort of in mid-table. Obviously, very very early days in the season, so that's not what the final. That's not going to be their final position. They're not going to finish 10th. This season, but really intriguing. And if Spurs win, they'll go top of the table. So the incentive is there. And for City, obviously, they need to win because if they don't, uh, who knows where their title challenge is going to go this season, where they see or where their season as a whole is going to go this year. They really need to win this game. So it's a must-win game for both teams, and that's good to see. That's what you want. And I mean, yeah, it's going to be a it's a little bit of a surprise to watch because the Spurs, it's like when you think about it, you think about City being this offensively organized, this really breathtaking attacking team. They haven't been that this season. They haven't been offensively good at all. They only scored 10 goals this season, and it's a tough one. It's a tough one to think about how Guardiola is going to change that. And on the other hand, you got Spurs, who got the joint best defense in the league with 9 goals. But they've also scored 18 goals, and I know a lot of. But again, 6 of those were scored against one team, one lower table team. So you gotta kind of take that into contention. Then you're probably looking about maybe 14 goals in 7 games, which is kind of 2 goals. It's kind of more average, but it's still very good for Spurs. So it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be a battle between a misfiring attack and a fairly solid defense, and that's going to be interesting. In terms of attack, I mean, for Manchester City, so Gabriel Jesus is back. He's fit. He scored against Liverpool, and Waji, he didn't score. He did score. Yes, he did score against Liverpool, and I believe he actually had a good chance to get that second goal as well. So he missed that, but he did score against Liverpool. You've got Aguero who's going to be back as well. Although I don't know if he's going to start because of the injury, but he'll probably be off the bench. You've got Ferran Torres in amazing, incredible form. By the way, Ferran Torres, I'm absolutely amazing player and one to watch out for, not just in the future, but I think this season he'll be one to watch out for. And then it looks like Raheem Sterling might also be back. He had a bit of an injury during international break, but it looks like he's going to be okay and he's going to start and he's going to play. I don't know if he's going to start, but he's going to be okay and he's going to be playing. He's going to be playing. So they've got options. They've got options, and that's important for Manchester City. There and then of course they seem to have a pretty now settled back line with Walker, Cancelo, and Diaz and Laporte. So it looks like things are starting to come together for Manchester City personnel wise. I think it's just a matter of upgrading those tactics, getting that fitness up, and making sure that people are focused and motivated and concentrating on the game. I think then things will start to fall in place for Manchester City. Will it fall in place for this game? I can answer that question for you, but it looks like now between now and Feb it does or March rather it does look like the consistent run of games is going to help them. So we shall see what happens. For Spurs, sadly there's no Matt Doherty. He's not going to be playing because he's tested positive for COVID, obviously, so that he's out. But Gareth Bale should be okay. Son should be okay. I think for Spurs, the one thing is that they have a very settled back line. I think Serge Aurier will probably come in for Spurs, but largely the team doesn't change much aside from the Europa League games. So Premier League games, at least, it doesn't change much, and that's kind of what you want in a settled team, a settled lineup. It doesn't always help when you go deep into a season and you start picking up injuries, but for now, when it comes to picking points, they're actually doing okay, and it's good to have that settled lineup. The one thing though is that a lot will depend on how Son and Kane get along, and part of that, then you get to bring in Bale, because I do believe that if they play as a two, Kane and Son, it probably helps them. And I know they don't always play as a proper two. They always play, because they have wingers, and Son nominally plays a winger, but I think at times it's that Son and Kane sort of become a two, and then the other winger drops deep to become a wing back, so to speak, in a back three. But I guess that connection is going to be important, and I don't know if Bale's going to start. I don't think I don't think he should, because I don't think he was fit enough. He started the last game, and I just feel that maybe this is such a big game, you want the focus to be on Kane and Son. You want those two to do as much as they can, because they're the two guys in form. They're the two guys who are creating the chances, scoring the chances. What happens when you add Bale in is that sometimes you feel obligated to involve him in attacks, even though he doesn't need to be, or even though he may not be up to speed. So then that gets an issue. So the best thing to do is to not start Bale, because then you can let the focus be on Kane and Son, who can do the creating, who can do the goal scoring, and you kind of just leave that as is. In such a big game where you need composure, you need to make sure that you take the chances when they come, because they'll be coming at a premium. But on that note, I mean, Spurs did beat Manchester City. For all their troubles last season, they did beat them in this fixture 2-0 last season. So Mourinho obviously has a template. He knows what he wants from his players, and he knows how to get the best out of them. So I'm not sure if he needs to deviate too much from that. I think he's got a plan. He's got a structure. it's definitely going to be an intriguing battle. It's up to Pep Guardiola to see what he can do and how he can change that. And I'm talking all of these positives here because it is it is a very weird situation when you look at it, because you're looking at it from perspective Spurs almost as the favorites for this game over Manchester City, which shouldn't happen, but that's where we are at in 2020 this season. So I think key personnel, I think Kevin De Bruyne will again be key for Manchester City. He had a very bad game against Liverpool by his standards. I think by his standards, he had a pretty bad game. So he'll be looking to prove a point. He'll want to come back and fit and firing. Keep in mind, he had a pretty good performance against England in the international. So he'll probably take some confidence from that going into this game. And that'll be interesting to watch. Kevin De Bruyne, I think, will be the key player for Manchester City in this game. Normally, he always is. He always is a very important player. But I think just the fact that he had such a bad game against Liverpool and now altogether another big game coming up for him, I think it's a chance for redemption. So that's let's see how that works out. Particularly when we talk about mentality about City, we always mention that. So I think this is going to be a key part of that, because De Bruyne now is pretty much the leader in that side, and so can he step it up? Can he bring that out as lead by example? We'll see about that. As far as Spurs are concerned, I think it has to be Harry Kane. It has to be Harry Kane. His ability to link up play now is second to none. I think Son is really molding himself into this out and out goal scorer who's gonna score goals. But I think the Kane's ability to score and to create, I think that is a massive benefit for Spurs, and it sort of hides their creativity issues a bit, actually, because I don't think Spurs are that creative in midfield. But Kane is the one who really knits it together. So again, whether he can do that in this game, whether Laporte and Diaz can keep him quiet, whether Rodri can help out, and how he can deal with those three around him, those three players, City defenders, so to speak, around him. That's going to be the key. And I know Rodri's not a defender, but in this instance, he would be part of that defensive unit. So how those three players handle Kane and how Kane handles those three players around him is going to be interesting. If he starts pinging passes around, if he starts linking up with Son, then you have a problem. But I mean, it'll be interesting to see what happens there. I believe Son will be up against Walker. Walker's going to have to be careful not to give away a penalty like he did last time. So that will be interesting to watch as well. But those are my key players. I think the thing is, all signs point to Spurs being favorites. And that's where it gets a little bit tricky, because as soon as you start talking about Spurs as favorites, you know that they're going to do something Spursy. And I mean, I find that term very disrespectful and derogatory, because when we talk of Spurs, we never talk of them as title challengers. We never talk of them as European contenders. They've become that, and to say that they're Spursy is kind of like it's basically a way of people mocking them for something that for the fact that they're clearly overachieving. But I mean, that's it, and I think they are going to do something what quote unquote Spursy. But I don't think it'll be Spurs. I think it'll just be Manchester City proving that they're a better team than their league position. So yeah, it's all signs points to Manchester City winning this game. Because as it happens in football, every time there's some adversity, there's something that's completely unbelievable that happens. And I think City will win. I think it'll be a 3-1. I'm going with a 3-1 win for City, because I think City won't keep a clean sheet. But just because there's so much focus on the attack and not firing, so much focus on Spurs being good defensively, I think both of those things will just be shattered, and City will win 3-1 against Spurs. I think it might be harsh, but let me know what you think. What are your score predictions? Let me know in the comment section. What do you think will be the score? Who do you think will be the key player for both sides? Happy to hear from that. But that concludes our preview for this game. We'll be back again in a little bit, a couple of hours, and we'll be doing the next one, which will be Newcastle against Chelsea. That's actually the first game of the weekend, so we're going to do that with Jihan. Jihan is going to join us for that one, so we're going to do that in a couple of hours. But for now, thank you so much for watching. Please smash a like if you enjoyed this episode. If you enjoyed this preview, let us know what you thought. Please remember to subscribe to the channel so you can get notified as soon as a new episode, a new preview episode is live, because we're gonna do quite a few of these today. So you might wanna get notified as they come out, so you can see them right away. So thank you so much for watching. Take care. Have a good day. Have a good night, and we'll see you again very soon. Take care. Bye bye.